Try another one.
Now the infield comes in a few steps more. And that's hit to left field. And Melendez makes the catch. Here's a tag by Marte. Here's the throw. He is out.
On his throw, and it was perfect. Look at the captain sitting right in there on him. Oh, that's the best double play of the year by far. Beautifully done.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Royals Rundown Podcast presented by Royals Review. I am Jake Milham, joined as always by the illustrious Jeremy Greco. Jeremy, you're wearing the wrong team shirt today. That's a Chiefs shirt.
Yeah, so it's a long story, but I mostly only have Chiefs t-shirts.
That's fair.
I don't really have any Royals t-shirts right now. I need to get some more.
Well, this is like the pot calling the kettle black because, as Honey pointed out over there, I'm wearing a Kansas State shirt. So I mean, we're all just sort of confused on a Sunday.
It's the wrong state entirely.
Well, I will say
at least until 2031.
True. Oh my gosh, dude! I really thought the whole voting discourse stuff would just have died off by now. No, it has not.
Yeah.
And it is. I'm sick of it at this point. I really am. But back to our choice of shirts, we were still making better calls than the umpire today in the later innings of the New York Mets game. It was pretty bad.
I was kind of in and out on this game, but I did watch the bottom of the eighth, and though Chris Stratton was not pitching well. Callie agrees with me.
Yes.
Chris Stratton was not pitching well, but he was not getting any help from the umpire either.
Yeah, he really wasn't. And it wasn't just Chris Stratton. It was going both ways. This was like Bobby Witt Jr.'s double for example.
Mm-hmm.
He was, or excuse me, not his double, but Maikel Garcia before Bobby Witt Jr. doubled, I believe it was.
Like I said, I was in and out on this one, so I don't recall that particular moment.
Listen, I was trying to juggle listening to it a little bit and doing some stuff around the house. Truth be told, because it is a rubber match after all. It's 1-1. Mets walk away with the series. Whatever, it doesn't really. It's not going to affect my outlook on the Royals either way, because this was a pretty boring game for the most part, Jeremy.
That's kind of my biggest takeaway from the Mets series, and I wrote about this a little bit on Saturday, that even if the Royals had gotten swept in the series, and they didn't, they took one of the games, even if they had been swept, they would still be on their pace for 90 wins, according to the article that I'm going to reference for the rest of the season by Stuff 76 over on Royals Review. I've got that thing bookmarked, and I check it after every series right now, because it's just an interesting way to keep track of things. But according to the path he set out, or she set out, or they set out, they're still on pace after this series. They're still right where they need to be. I think they might be a game ahead because they didn't get swept.
Well, hey, that'll certainly take that. And it took a really good, unexpected start from the Mets pitcher today to shut down the Royals.
Sometimes you just got to tip your cap, y'all. I know most of us have never heard of Buto. What are you doing?
What?
This dog?
Callie has, apparently.
A lot of people haven't heard about him. I hadn't heard of him, but he was throwing good pitches today.
He was.
That changeup was killer. You just got to tip your cap sometimes.
Yeah, and that is kind of what today was. It. I feel silly. I think I bet the over today. It was like over 8.5 runs. I was like, you know what? It's they had like 18 runs yesterday. They're gonna go over 8.5, right? Yeah.
Used up all the runs yesterday.
Oof, they really did. They really did. But at least Vinny Pasquantino had another one left in him, right?
Royals still have not been shut out this year.
That's impressive.
That 2-out home run in the bottom of the ninth, or the top of the ninth.
Hey,
it is very impressive, and they've shut out teams twice, I believe.
Ooh, even better, even better. Jeremy, weren't you saying something about Vinny and
I was just saying it really would have been cool if somebody as of last week had been saying, man, once Vinny hits that first extra base hit, he's going to take off. Or maybe if they'd said, man, he had an at-bat against Josh Hader where he just absolutely destroyed a sinker to center field, but right at the center fielder, and that probably means he's just about ready to unleash it. Callie's very excited about this.
Yes,
If somebody had just said those things, then maybe we could have been prepared for when Vinny Pasquantino had a career night the day after someone could have said those things on this very podcast.
Yeah, that's weird. Maybe we should go back and listen to our podcasts, folks. Try to catch up on everything you're missing out on. You can find us wherever you are currently listening to us right now. But yeah, Vinny Pasquantino, he I wouldn't say he righted the ship within one night, but he kind of got back on that.
He's
pace.
well on his way.
It's pretty dang close. Even after all the poor start to the season. 702 OPS, 2 home runs, 9 RBI. That'll absolutely play. And still walking more than he strikes out. He drew another walk today against the New York Mets. And he's tied with MJ Melendez and, believe it or not, Adam Frazier for the team lead in walks.
Oh, fascinating.
All three of them have 7.
I knew MJ was walking. MJ's been doing everything right this year.
He has.
Except for getting the captain injured.
Oof. Yeah, listen, let's go and talk about that because that was even more so than Vinny's home run. I think that was the highlight of today's loss.
Right.
Yeah. It was a mixed bag because I was very excited to see MJ Melendez make that play.
Absolutely.
Throw that ball from left field on an absolute rope. Right to the captain who got the out at home plate and kept the game scoreless. But yeah, like you said, that came at a cost, didn't it, Jeremy?
Yep. Again, as I said, I was kind of in and out, so I didn't quite catch exactly what the injury is. But I watched the play, and I would be surprised if he's back in there tomorrow, for example.
Well, I will say
are they
the
off
Royals,
tomorrow? Back in Tuesday, whenever they're playing again.
The Royals just tweeted out about 30 seconds ago saying, quote, Salvador Perez left today's game with a left groin/hip strain. He will be evaluated further tomorrow.
Man, when the strain is bad enough that you're not sure if it's a hip or a groin or it's somehow both, that doesn't bode well for a quick recovery. And as I think some people probably saw if they were following on social media, Austin Nola, the team's only other catcher on the 40-man roster, is also hurt down in Omaha. So if Salvy's going to go on the injured list, someone is going to have to come off the 40-man to get probably Logan Porter back on.
Oof, that's going to be a tough one.
And it is going to be tough because right now, who are you taking off of the 40-man that you feel good about?
Yeah, we're still not even going to talk about, Maikel Massey, who's doing work in Omaha, and he's looking pretty good. He's looking ready.
Yeah, I heard that he might be ready to go as early as tomorrow.
Yeah, I will say this, according to Annie Rogers of MLB.com, she's kind of got the pulse. She's got the voice inside the clubhouse. Matt Quatraro did not rule out Massey joining them in Chicago. That was kind of the possibility. Like, hey, the Royals are in New York right now, and he's not with the Royals, obviously, but they're traveling back to Chicago to face off against the White Sox. It's not that far of a flight from Omaha to Chicago. Is he going to make that flight? And he didn't rule it out, saying that they were taking it day to day. And Massey looks ready, but I don't even know who they would go after to take off the 40-man roster.
Let me pull it up and see if I can see anybody that I'm like, oh yeah, that makes sense. One guy that might make sense depending on what's going on with him. I haven't heard about him being on a rehab assignment. Carlos Hernandez. If he's not close, you can put him on the 60-man IL.
I was kind of thinking that too. You could look at Carlos Hernandez, Jake Brentz maybe could go on the 60-day just like you said, see, hey, if they're not going to be coming back in mid-May like they're projected to be, Well, then you go ahead and throw them on the 60-day, and you give them more time to ramp up, and you see what happens.
I mean, even if you think they're going to be ready at midway, you can throw them on the 60-day, and you're still only losing like 10 days of them that you might have otherwise had because of when they put them on to begin with.
Okay, that's true. I am curious if the Royals would DFA Nola.
I guess they could. It wouldn't be a good look. Usually, you don't want to cut an injured player.
It's not a good look, but I mean, I would hope that if they did that, they would have something behind the scenes, a gentleman's agreement, if you will, something that we're not going to see on the transaction wire. But Nola, he's been around this game for quite a while, and hopefully he understands the situation and that he still has a place in the organization. But it's just going to be a little bit of a transient time for him. I didn't realize he was older than Salvador Perez. Can you believe that?
I did not realize that either, but by golly, you're right.
By Jove. Yeah, because I can't see. I don't know. There's no easy roster decisions right now, which is a good problem to have.
Yeah, the all 40 guys who are on the 40-man roster actually seem like they belong there. Except for maybe Colin Selby. I'm still not sure about him. I don't know enough.
Still not sure about Garrett Hampson. Not sold.
He's a bench guy. He offers positional flexibility. He offers speed off the bench. He offers a right-handed bat that worked out pretty well yesterday off of Sean Manaea.
Yeah,
somebody was in my game recap telling me that Matt Quattro was a terrible manager because Garrett Hampson should never ever bat sixth, and I'm just like, that's like he was facing the lefty. You got to put a guy somewhere in the lineup. You can't bat him 12th. So just it's that like maybe you disagree with that. Garrett Hampson probably doesn't belong batting sixth most days. But every once in a while, I mean, Nick Lofton batting third was the more obvious crime to me. And yet that worked out extremely well.
It did. And sometimes just like today's game, that's why there's 162 games in the season. There's going to be so many variables and so many things go one way or the other in baseball. That's why you have to have so many games in the season. Eat your heart out, Anthony Rendon. I'm just kind of, I don't like the impending decision that I think is going to be Nick Lofton getting sent down to AAA Omaha in favor of Michael Massey coming back and keeping Garrett Hampson on the bench.
I still will argue, and I will continue arguing. I guess I will die on this hill that Garrett Hampson has a role on this team because of his speed and his defensive versatility. Adam Frazier has less of a role on this team, especially with Michael Massey back. You've already got a left-handed second baseman. Yeah. But I've argued that Adam Frazier never belonged on this roster for that reason. So you could have had Samad Taylor up here, and would the team be a little bit worse with Nick Lofton starting and Samad Taylor backing him up than with Adam Frazier? Maybe. It's hard to say. Marginally. And then it's a lot easier to demote Samad back to the minors when Massey's ready to go. It just was a move that never made sense to me. I don't think it will ever make sense to me unless I get a lot more detailed look into the thought process that went into it than I am likely to ever receive.
Yeah, listen, we've already spent enough brain power on that. We gotta move on from that. But yeah, listen, Jeremy. I'm going to be a little lazy today. I'm just going to include the recap in this episode. Do you mind?
Go for it. Let's recap,
or just some of the recap elements, if you will. Like we talked about, this was a pitching battle or a pitching duel through and through for like 7 innings of the game. The 8th inning is where things got pretty out of hand, and that's not to the detriment of the Royals, or like that's not the Royals' fault, in my opinion. Jeremy, like you said, Chris Stratton wasn't hitting all of his spots, which does not help. Him not getting certain calls his way, but just in that, within 2 batters, I counted up at least 5 completely not noticeable, but unquestionable strikes be called balls, if you will. I just went back and looked through the data, and of course, I'm not the umpire standing there on the field making the call. You're going to have onesie twosie calls go a certain way, but once it gets to I have to go use another hand to count how many calls are not going the other way, that's where it gets a little tricky. 4 walks from Chris Stratton today is going to fill up the box score. That's not good at all. 2 earned runs is not going to be good.
I want to just say that even if Chris Stratton was completely responsible for every ball thrown and was not getting bad calls, I still don't blame the loss of this game on him. When your team only scores 1 run and it comes on a home run with 1 out left in the game,
you
can't win that way.
No, you absolutely can't. And that's, I think, what was it? It was the Friday night game that was kind of similar to this. The bats just went completely ice cold, and pitching didn't do terrible for the most part. But
there was equal blame to go around on that one a little bit, in that 6 runs is hard to win against also. So but today, 2 runs, you should be able to score more than 2 runs. If you don't, that's on the offense. And I bring this up because I've seen too many times with Royals fans where the team would lose 1-0 and they'd be like, "Those pitchers suck."
Yeah.
It's like, well, but
listen, hey, Cole Reagan's absolutely reminded us today of who he was. I think Buto's start is going to overshadow Reagan's a little bit, unfortunately, but Reagan's had another quality day. 6 innings, 5 given up, of course, but no earned runs once again. Only 1 walk to 8 strikeouts. His ERA,
which is a ratio that will play.
Yep, 8-1. I will absolutely take that ratio. His ERA is currently sitting at 1.93, so that is his. We're
Tested only by Brady Singer.
Yeah. I'm liking what I'm seeing there. And also, John, I liked John Schreiber's inning that he pitched. I thought he looked pretty solid out there in the 7th. He kind of had I get nervous when I think it was HUD called him like the fireman of the bullpen. I was like, oh, don't do Colin Snyder again. Come on now. It's gonna be Snyder all over again. But Schreiber looks
I've been pretty
solid.
happy with Schreiber.
Yeah.
Actually, that makes me curious how Sandlin is doing.
Oh yeah, go and look that up, because that was
look that up real quick.
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't actually matter. Sandlin could be pitching lights out, and it still would be the trade that it was, or he could be pitching awfully, and he is not pitching well. He's in high A as a 23-year-old, which is kind of old for that, and he's got 1 start, and he pitched 2 2/3 innings. And he has a 10.13 ERA. So I guess that would be 3 runs. And he struck out a bunch of guys, but he also gave up a couple of walks, and his FIP is a 6.46. So I don't know why he hasn't made more starts than that. It might be because A-Ball started not that long ago, but that first didn't go well.
No, it certainly didn't. No one's going to be clamoring to see him make another start for the near future. I will say the strikeout to walk ratio that will not stand is what the Royals batters put together on the field today. 14 strikeouts, dude, as a team today, which is absolutely obscene.
If you're going to strike out a ton on Doc Gooden Day, you gotta strike out 16 times.
Fair enough. I guess this was probably a part of the MLB script.
Yeah,
you just had to.
You heard the Royals are cheating, right?
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh,
it's the only way they could score runs off of the Twins' 3rd pitcher. Was it Joe Ryan that was pitching that day?
It was Bailey Ober.
Bailey Ober. It's the only way you can score runs off of Bailey Ober is if you're cheating. That guy is elite.
Yeah,
and Arrighetti of the Astros, he's elite. How could the Royals score runs off of him? They didn't score runs for several innings, and then they did. They must be cheating.
It's crazy that Astros fans came after the Royals after they absolutely shelled them and swept them in Kauffman Stadium, calling them for cheating. Like, well, that's kind of the pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah.
When the kettle's just sitting there, minding its own freaking business.
I can't, like, how can there be Royals are cheating conspiracy theories? We're not even 10% of the way into the year. The Royals have been awful for years, but no, now they're cheating. And well, I guess that's why the only explanation for how they suddenly got good.
Yeah. Oh, they're
except
10
for,
and
a
6.
complete roster turnover.
They're 10-6. Oh my goodness. They're cheating. Which, folks, I hope y'all enjoyed our one evening in first place, because the Kansas City Royals are now down to second place.
Won't be the last time.
Yeah. I think they, like, even after today, which today wouldn't affect this too much, but right now they still lead the league in run differential.
Really? I didn't realize it was that good.
Plus 37.
Yeah. So the run differential only went down by 1 today.
Yep.
They're losing the close games and winning the blowouts.
Yep, that they are.
That's usually a good sign.
I'm with you on the grand scheme of how this loss fits in, though. They're 2-4 on the road right now. They've at least split all of their road series so far.
Haven't been swept.
Yeah, haven't been swept yet.
They've lost all of their road series so far.
Yeah,
They just haven't been swept.
Yeah. So there is that. They also do lead the league still in expected win-loss in the Pirates.
Yeah. Well, that's based heavily on the run differential. So if you've got the best run differential, it's usually going to be pretty high.
That's true. Thank you. Sorry, if you can't tell, I'm a little slow. It's a Sunday evening.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
The sun is still up, and I am not looking forward to the work week at all.
Oh, no. Why would you bring that up? I was not thinking about that. I was thinking about how the Royals are going to go to Chicago, and they're going to sweep another series.
Yeah, you think so?
I hope so. They at least need to win it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. If they lose the series on the road against the Chicago White Sox, I think that'll rile some of the negative Nancy's out there up once again.
It probably shouldn't, but it will. You're right.
Baseball is baseball, but I mean, come on. The White Sox are 2-13 right now, a negative 51 run differential. Like, they are getting shellacked.
Yep.
It is. This is exactly how the Royals felt this time last year, probably.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you fill your team with a bunch of guys who used to play for the Royals.
I mean, and when a guy is running the team used to play for the Royals, that is what he's used to. Okay, that is his gold standard. All right, is single-digit wins by May. That's it. That's the bar that is set. But I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about the Royals right now. Cole Reagan's looked good. There is one person I'm worried about, though, Jeremy.
Yeah,
I am worried about Maikel Garcia. I'm about to hit that panic button. He didn't have a single hit against the Mets.
Yeah, that's true. Obviously, you'd rather he'd have hits.
He's the leadoff guy. He's got to get on base at least.
He walked once. In
the series. Once.
He walked. It's fine. He walked. Here's my thing. I had someone come in my comments yesterday on my game recap and say, when are people going to start talking about Maikel Garcia the way they talk about Hunter Renfroe? Oof. And I went and I looked him up on Baseball Savant. And I said, when Maikel Garcia has a lot less blue on his page or Hunter Renfroe has a lot more red, then we can talk.
Fair.
He is every metric that they put on the homepage on Baseball Savant is red for Maikel Garcia. For those of you who don't go to Baseball Savant often enough, first of all, you should check it out. It's really cool. Second of all, red is good. It means a high percentile. Not many people are better at it than you. And they've got a variety of stats on the homepage, including defense, base running, and hitting. And basically he's hitting the ball hard. He should be getting more hits than he is. They made a big deal in the broadcast over the weekend about how they hope he's not chasing home runs because he already hit 3, and guys with a little bit of not much power. Let me see how many times I can try that before I get to a phrase I like. We'll start chasing home runs, which, to be fair, we have seen before. We saw it with Alcides Escobar once, at least off the top of my head. But I don't think Maikel Garcia is doing that. He's been making a concerted effort to hit the ball in the air more, and he hits the ball hard. Like, that was the whole thing, was that he was hitting the ball hard, but he was hitting it on the ground. And we said if you could hit the ball in the air more, you would do better. And that's what he's been doing. And it just didn't pay off in the Mets series. Wasn't a lot of people hitting in the Mets series other than yesterday. So, or Saturday for those of you listening later. I'm not ready to panic for him at all. He'll get his.
This is me getting sucked into the moment a little bit, I will admit. But I do think that there are certain parts of the order you have to hold to certain standards. Okay. And the leadoff guy is one for me. Because when Bobby Witt Jr. is coming, it's a big difference when Bobby Witt Jr. is coming to the plate with 1 out already on his mind, and when he's coming to the plate with a base runner on. Like, that's a big swing right there. It could be a 2-run home run or just another little single from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess my question for you.
Yes.
Unless you want to finish your thought before I bother you.
Ask the question.
My question for you is, who do you want leading off then instead of Maikel Garcia and his upside?
So before the season, I laid out a couple of different options. Right now I don't want Dairon Blanco at the leadoff spot. I like him in the 8th or the 9th spot. I do think that the only other person right now that has a case is MJ Melendez.
All right, so you move MJ Melendez to leadoff. Now no one's on base for MJ.
Okay.
And he's been hitting the ball with power and driving in runs too.
That's true. All right. You got me there.
Somebody's got to be the guy who gets on. Somebody's got to get on first. And I think Maikel Garcia has a lot of upside. I want him getting a lot of at-bats. I still think the breakout is there this year. Okay. I think we saw the beginnings of it. I think, pitchers maybe made a little bit of an adjustment. He adjusts back. Nobody is hot for 162 games. He's taken a little lull. I think he'll be back. If he's not back in a month, if he's hitting like this in a month, then we'll need to revisit this. Probably before then.
Yeah.
But you will have already demoted him to batting 7th, and we won't have a problem.
Exactly. And that's, you know what, maybe I got used to the ever fluctuating lineup that was the 2023 Royals. Maybe I got used to that. I'm glad that they're being consistent, though, at least.
The thing about the 2023 Royals was they were losing.
Yeah.
They weren't hitting. So what are you going to do as a manager? Are you going to sit on your hands, or are you going to change the lineup every day and see if you can spark something?
True.
This year they're winning. They're scoring runs. We don't need to mess with a good thing too much.
All right. Fair enough. I understand that for the expected stats to work, you have to trust the process. Usually in baseball, that's why they're expected, is because he has a really bad 7-game stretch right now, without a doubt. And then like in 2 weeks, he could have a red hot 7-game stretch where he looks like an MVP contender. And like that'll balance out his expected stats.
You just got to look at it. The Rex talks about this all the time about, the bloops that shouldn't be hits save you from the line drives that should have been. Bobby Witt Jr. had that bloop double in the first game of the year, and then he's hit, I don't know, at least 3 or 4 line drives to the wall that have been turned into outs that should have been hits. And it's just how it goes. Honestly, we saw this with Hunter Dozier. Back in the day when he was still good, was right before he broke out. I knew he was going to break out because he was hitting balls hard right at guys. And that's what I said about Vinny Pasquantino last week. He hit the ball hard right at the center fielder. He's almost there. And then, he's been on fire ever since.
Yeah, fair enough. And I will say in the grand scheme of things, Maikel Garcia is still producing. At least right now, his 12 RBIs are tied for the 7th most in the AL. He's kind of been the catalyst for scoring in other games. He is just, without a doubt, on a very rough stretch right now. And the New York Mets series was kind of the rock bottom, if you will.
Yeah, and let me be clear. I'm not saying he's going to break out of this any moment now, because I don't actually see that right now. I see him pressing a little bit, swinging at pitches he probably should let go. He's just trying too hard. He probably could use a day off. Yeah. That's why you've got Nick Lofton and Garrett Hampson. So maybe give him a day off tomorrow. Let him get his head in. Get his head in order, and then let him come back and try again, because he is pressing right now. He was the whole series.
Yeah, and you could tell. You could tell, and he was. I wonder if that had anything to do with his defense today, because he did misjudge a ball a little bit that kept the Mets scoring in the 8th.
I'm not sure he could have made that play even if he had picked it up.
It
was pretty well placed.
It was, but I don't know, man. I'm just kind of I'm disillusioned with him right now. I'm not as big of a Maikel Garcia proponent as you are. But like you said, the Royals really don't have another option right now. And
I mean, it wouldn't be the stupidest thing in the world to put MJ Melendez leading off. As you said, he's tied for the team lead in walks. Which is more important than the speed that Maikel Garcia gives you. And MJ isn't slow. He stole the base the other day.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be the dumbest thing. In fact, he did lead off some in his rookie year, if I remember correctly.
He did. Mm-hmm.
So, again, not the dumbest thing in the world, but the way things are right now is Bobby gets on and then MJ brings him home. And you just kind of be flipping that. I don't see how you'd improve it. You might mess with the chemistry, because batting 5th is a very different mindset from batting leadoff.
Yeah, and then that would only make Garcia double down possibly on swinging for the fences if he was batting 5th.
Or pressing, because he's like, oh, I got demoted in the order. Now I really got to figure something out, or they're going to demote me all the way. And that's not what you want from him. You want him to relax.
Yeah, that's very true. Hey, let's. I took us down the rabbit hole. Sorry, I had to do that. A couple of notes before I forget about him. First off, congratulations to Salvador Perez. He got his 250th home run against the Mets.
With a little help.
Yeah, with a little help. With a little help. All right, he did. If the Royals shouldn't be anything, or the Royals should be used to getting a little help from the outfield at this point. We kind of saw it in the homestand. Now we saw it against the New York Mets.
The Mets love giving the Royals home runs. Just ask Yoenis Cespedes.
Oof. Dang. Yeah, that's pretty bad. Also, that his game on Saturday where he had 4 RBI, that was his 20th career game with at least 4 RBI, which I thought was interesting. Like, he's just and
he's up there in catcher home runs, isn't he? Didn't they say that somewhere high?
Yeah, so he's which marked his 250th career home run, making him one of 12 primary catchers to ever reach that mark. And just the second Royal to ever do it.
Who's the first one? Is that
that's Brett.
It's who?
George Brett. He's the only other Royal that's gone past 250 home runs.
Oh, I thought you meant catcher who'd gotten to 250 home runs. I was confused. No, I was like, I was like, let me guess who that was. No, I can't actually think of anyone else who could have done that.
Drew Butera.
Oh, no.
That was the man. That was the guy who did it. No, so congrats to him. Andy Rogers had a great piece for him on it. The captain, he is looking like the captain once again. He is.
Well, he was.
Yeah, he was. I don't know, man. I don't know how to take this injury because Salvador Perez is just always the player who pushes through injuries no matter what you think should or would happen.
Yeah, I mean, I say I wouldn't expect him to play tomorrow, but I think Salvy expects to play tomorrow, so we'll see what happens.
I think he does as well. Even if he just plays at first or is in the DH spot, however,
But the hip strain and groin strain is going to make it really hard to hit because you gotta really use those hips to get that bat speed up there.
That is true. I'm just hoping it's not too serious. No offense to Freddie Fermin, but having him as the primary catcher does not invoke a lot of confidence for me. And like you said, that's going to cause a whole different ripple effect on the 40-man roster if they have to move.
And then the lineup.
Yeah.
Because you probably end up promoting Velasquez 2 spots, then Renfroe 2 spots, and bat Fermin 8th. So, especially as hot as Salvy's been this year, you're losing some in offense.
Oh yeah, for sure. 4 home runs, 15 RBIs as of Saturday's game, which is pretty dang impressive. Oh, so we'll keep tabs on that. If you want more up-to-date stuff, go check out RoyalsReview.com. I'm sure there's already an article up talking about the injury, and if any other major developments happen while the Royals are on the road, that is the best place to go check it out. Jeremy, there's some real buzz around this team right now. But do you think, off the top of your head, do you think like they need to sweep the Chicago White Sox to get back in first place in the AL Central?
No, like I said, they're still ahead of the game on that pace to 90 wins. 90 wins is going to win the AL Central. I guarantee it.
Okay.
So you can take that to the bank.
I like it.
Do not. This is not financial advice. Do not take your money anywhere.
We would, this is not an investing podcast for all of you out there.
But yeah, so as long as if they lose the series, it's not the end of the world. Okay, if they get swept, that would be the only thing that would make me worry a little bit. But even then, still a very small sample size. They still look really good for sweeping that whole homestand. So I'm gonna expect them to bounce back and play well again for a while. I mean, they're gonna have to have a pretty good losing streak if they want me to stop believing at this point.
I like it. As we sit here today, Fangraphs has the Royals projected at 81-81. That is,
yep.
Hey, 500 ball. That's something that the Kansas City Royals fan base has not.
It's like a 30% chance to make the postseason, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing right here. So that's very, very intriguing. I do.
Sorry, I keep talking over you.
No, you're good. You're good. They project that they're going to kind of fall off as the season goes on, going 71-76.
Who does?
Fangraphs.
Oh well, that's how they'd get to 81-81. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
like that's not even 162 games. What website are you looking at, Jacob?
But this is also the same site that still has the Twins projected for 83-79.
Well, like I was writing this weekend, when you make an adjustment to a projection, you don't adjust it all the way, right? Yeah. So if you project someone to hit 20 home runs and they have 20 halfway through the season, you don't revise your projection to 40. You revise it to like 30 or 35, somewhere in there, because you're like, well, it's obviously more than 20 because they already hit 20 and they're hitting more. But my projection system still takes into account the data that came before this year. And so I'm going to project them, lower than that.
I'm completely off the Twins train right now because they have a quarter of their 40-man roster on the IL right now. Like you can't expect winning baseball and have that many injuries, especially to key players. Royce Lewis, Carlos Correa. Like we're not talking onesie, twosie.
Oh, Correa's hurt too?
Yeah,
I missed
Correa's
that.
hurt too.
Oh, goody.
So I don't know how
long
Royals, he's supposed to be hurt for or how serious it is. But he is.
I do not I get where you're coming from. What I'm just trying to explain is that the projection system is almost certainly automated. So it's just looking at what they were projected to do and then kind of what they'll do, what they have done. So it's adjusting down. It's not adjusting down quickly because it hasn't adjusted to the new reality yet.
Yeah,
completely.
Just a little bit more detail on Correa. They put him on the 10-day IL yesterday with the unenviable right oblique strain.
Ooh, that's a bad one.
Yeah, that's never a good one. Still no word on MRI results, so that's concerning as well. We'll see what, but I don't know. It's just Royce Lewis out with the quad strain. You have guys like Willie Castro and Kyle Farmer who looked decent against the Royals, but those aren't like the guys that the Twins went into 2024 thinking these are going to be our everyday guys. They were utility, spot starters. So I'm out on the Twins. I'm out on the Tigers. I genuinely think the Guardians. I don't like the Tigers. Okay, I hate the Tigers. I really do. So I never want to give them any benefit. I don't want to give them.
That's fair. I'm not. I was never as high on the Tigers as a lot of people were either. So I just look at that team and I'm like, I just don't buy it. I don't buy any of these guys as guarantees to be good.
Yeah. But listen. We're only what? How many games are we into the season? We're 16 games into the season.
Okay, so now we're 10% of the way in.
Yeah.
Which is when we said we were going to have our first kind of vibe check, I think.
Oh, did we really? Oh,
yeah, my vibe is I'm through the roof excited about this team, even after the series loss.
I'm still trending upwards. I really am. I'm not like through the roof like how I was immediately after the homestand.
Sure.
But that's you go 7-0. It's going to balance out eventually. Even for good teams that go on little skids like this. So I'm still optimistic. I still think that they are going to finish either first or second in the AL Central. We'll just have to see how it all shakes out. Hopefully they go beat up on the Chicago White Sox for a few games and get the ship right before they go back home.
That run differential is a stat to me that just is telling me a lot. Yeah. It tells me a lot beyond the wins and losses. It tells me that this is a team that isn't going to give up that many and it is going to score a bunch. I mean, that's obvious, maybe, but when you do that, you win more often than you lose. Exactly. And this is not a case of like they got lucky with a couple of games where things just broke their way. They've gotten unlucky with a couple of games that they could have won, the 2 in Baltimore at the very least. So, this is just a good team. At least that's what they're playing like. Now, injuries could absolutely derail it because as much as we talk about, I don't want to cut anybody off of the 40-man, I don't want to name any of them my staff ace either. So if Cole Reagans goes down, well, that's a big loss. If Vinny Pasquantino goes down, if Bobby Witt goes down, big losses. So you got to, this could go south. It could. But it hasn't yet, and there's no reason to think that it definitely will, or that it probably will even.
Well, except for the Royals fan in me, it's just like we can't have nice things.
You can't let that control you. If you're not having fun, why are you here, Jacob? Ooh, this is the moment to enjoy it.
It is, and I am very. What's the word? I do feel sorry for the fans who truly can't let themselves get swept up in the moment and enjoy the winning times because this is Kansas City is gonna get bad eventually and we're gonna go 0-27 at some point and everything's gonna be right in the world.
I had my forcible reminder on Saturday that there was a certain segment of the fan base that will be mad at you writing negative stuff about the team, no matter how bad the team is. But there's also, and I knew about that segment because I've been writing since 2016, so there's been plenty of bad. But there's also a certain segment of the Royals Review readership that will not be happy with you if you write anything good about the team, no matter how good they are. And I think a lot of people think I'm in that second group because I've been so incredibly critical of Dayton Moore, especially. I don't believe the 14-15 World Series were some like intentional plan by him. I think a lot of shit came together, excuse my language, that he didn't really expect. And they kind of got lucky, especially in 2015, where all of those guys had career years simultaneously that they would never match again. Yep. They just all played out of their minds simultaneously, and no one got hurt.
That was a big thing.
That's a lot of luck to make both of those things happen. To make either of those things happen. So, yeah, I was critical of Dayton Moore. But I'm also like, if the team's good, which they are right this second, the team is good. I want to be here, and I want to be having fun, and I want to be positive, and I want to say they're going to keep winning.
I agree. I really do. I trust that they will continue winning. I don't think that every homestand is going to be undefeated. But I think
that might be a bit much.
Yeah,
but not every road series is going to be a loss either.
Right, exactly. I think as a whole, this team is going to continue winning. And at right now, as I said, I think they are going to finish above 500. But may it be by one game? Yeah. But I think they're going to finish above 500.
But if they finish even with 82 wins, Jacob, that means they're in the playoff conversation in September.
Right. Yep.
That's what that means. They may be like, not strongly in the conversation. Maybe nobody's like, yeah, it's so exciting. This team is probably going to make the postseason. But they're going to be like, well, they could. It's still within the realm of possibility. And it's not like we're at elimination number 2 in the middle of August, right? It's going to be like a real possibility for a good chunk of the year. And that's all I was asking for after last year, was give me a team that's worth watching.
Listen, this team wasn't worth watching at this point last year.
Exactly.
And this is a major turnaround. So I get it. I might have my critical and my negative moments. But
I'll balance you out, buddy. We'll get there.
You, see, that's why I need you around. Right? Honey saying in the background, "What about me?"
Oh, I could never replace Honey.
Honey is critical of the Royals, but also I'm going to put this. I'm going to put this out there for the people who are copy and pasting bad 1-star reviews on
They're
Apple
just jealous.
Podcasts. You can go screw yourself. Right?
They're just jealous. Honestly, Jacob, this is where, when I started YouTubing years ago, my favorite comments were the negative ones. You know why, Jacob?
Really? Why?
Because it meant that my content had reached beyond my sphere of influence, where everybody in it was predisposed to say nice things to me.
Oh, that's true.
And that's what you want, is you want your sphere of influence to constantly expand. That's what we're looking for. We want to engage in more conversations with more people. We love our Christopher and Preston and a few other people that we hear from all the time. We love you guys and we want more of you. So that's what we're looking for. So this person who is giving us these 1-star reviews is doing us a favor, is telling us, listen, you are outside of the influence of people who are going to say this is good no matter what. You are in the sphere of people who are going to be jerks no matter what. And that means you've expanded. And so we're doing good, Jacob. This is good stuff.
I like it. Which I do have 2 notes on that, Jeremy. So first off, did you see my tweet about the podcast ranking? So
no, I haven't. I haven't been on Twitter today.
Oh, okay. So I tweeted it out last night, and I wanted to surprise Jeremy with this if you hadn't seen it.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, we hit 28th on Apple Podcasts.
28th, what? In like, not 28th most popular podcast, right? So like 28th baseball podcast, 28th Royals podcast. What's the criteria?
So 28th baseball podcast.
Wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's
out of all that's all the baseball teams.
Yep, all the baseball teams. Anything that is associated with baseball.
Hey, I like that a lot.
I do as well. Talk about growing a sphere. So that's what we're doing.
Can go fuck themselves.
PG-13.
So can you?
Jeremy saying PG-13. I love it.
The baseball broadcast today was a little PG-13.
My F-bomb for the week.
when Jeff McNeil got hit on the hand.
Fudge.
Yeah.
What's that fudge?
And then I think when they were playing the replay after Schreiber got out of his inning,
Ooh, yeah.
I believe I heard him shouting about fudge.
Yep. They must have some really good fudge there in New York.
Yeah, I mean, must be. Maybe New York's got the best fudge shop in the world.
Maybe so. All right.
It's like, now you have to buy me fudge.
Yes, we're awful at reading lips, honey. Don't you worry about that. All right, let's go ahead and get.
I wasn't reading lips. I was listening.
Let's go ahead and get to our Spotify Q&As and our
let's do it.
So first off, on our last full-length episode, I asked which sporting moment could you rewatch over and over again.
Oh, sporting.
Yeah, and
I
Jeremy,
I got to get into soccer. I need to do it.
Well, no, just not like sporting Kansas City, like any like sports.
Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, why are we talking about soccer all of a sudden? All right, cool, let's go.
Ginger620 says 2014 AL wildcard game for sure, and the Chiefs versus Texans divisional round game from a few years ago where they came back from 24-0. Remember that?
I heard Royals versus Texans, and I was thinking Royals versus Rangers, and I was like, I don't remember them playing in the playoffs.
Did I say Royals?
No, I think you said it right. I think I heard it wrong.
Okay. And then Aaron Bailey says 2014 wild card game, hands down.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I would have to say mine would be the Damian Williams run in the I forget what number Super Bowl it was. It was the first time.
The first one that this group, that
they run it. And then Mitch Holtz's call of it. Absolutely love that. Jeremy, do you have one that comes to mind?
Gerard Dyson stealing third base in the wild card game. I know a lot of people. It's Salvy with the yanked grounder down the third base line, and that's a close second, my friends. Believe you me. But Gerard Dyson stealing third and then revving the motorcycle was just elite speed, elite guts, elite Riz. That's what the kids say these days. Riz, elite Riz. And just everything was perfect in that moment. And for that reason, Gerard Dyson will always be one of my favorite players. Just because the dude knew what he was good at, and he was going to let you know too. So that moment, and that moment was also when I was like, oh dang, the Royals are not going to go down yet. They're not done yet. They're coming back.
Oh, what a special time. It's crazy to think that we're almost 10, it was almost 10 years ago.
Oh my goodness, so long ago.
It was.
I was just talking. I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was living in Georgia, and I was ordering Dickey's barbecue for every night during the World Series so that I could eat the closest thing I could get to Kansas City barbecue out in Georgia. I couldn't. How can you watch a Royals World Series game and not eat barbecue? I didn't actually do that in 2015, but maybe it was my fault for eating the barbecue. That's why they lost in 2014.
Oh my goodness, Jeremy. Maybe it was. Maybe you're the problem.
Yeah, it's me. Hi.
It's the problem. It's me. So, hey, I don't want to forget about the Q&A responses on last.
Yeah. No, please continue. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Luke 5747 says Marsh really settled down after that first inning.
He did.
I love that this offense can just keep coming at you. It's going to be a fun year. Very much agreed. And Jeremy, we didn't even touch on Alec Marsh at all. What's your what were your thoughts seeing that start? Are you good with it? Or
obviously it wasn't ideal, 4 runs in 5 innings. But on the other hand, if he's your 5th starter, and that's the floor he's going to give you, I still think he has a higher ceiling than we've seen from him. But if that's the floor, and that seems like that's where he is right now, so hopefully that's the floor, then that's enough. That is sufficient. I'm going to leave him in that 5th starter role if that's what he gives us, is 5 innings, 4 runs some nights, and 7 innings, 0 runs another night. That's perfectly acceptable to have kind of a guy who is what's the word I'm looking for? Inconsistent a little bit as your 5th starter. As long as the inconsistency is not like every 3rd start he gives up 20 runs or something,
Yeah. No, we're we're not on Jonathan Heasley levels out there in Baltimore. Actually, absolutely getting shellacked by the Brewers the other night. Ginger620 shared a lot of your same feelings, Jeremy, saying could have been very ugly, but kudos to Marsh for getting things under control after that nasty first inning. The next win streak started today. Unfortunately, Ginger, it did not. It did not. Currently on a losing streak.
Only.
Christopher 1777 or 1775, I'm adding 2 years on there, had a cryptic message saying, "You can't sneak a piece of cheese past a hungry mouse." I don't know what that means, Jeremy.
That's what Rex always says, but he said mouse instead of rat. And it's usually what Rex says when somebody hits a fastball real far.
Oh, gotcha. I didn't catch that. And then
how many Royals games have you watched, Jacob? Come on.
Truthfully, most times I'm tuning out Rex.
That's fair. Rex Hudler this is another hill I'll die on. Rex Hudler is the worst announcer in the world when your team is losing. And he's the best announcer in the world when your team is winning. Because he is always hyped for his team. And he is excited about baseball, and he's excited about any positives that come out of the game. And when the team is 30 games under 500, it's a little bit like, Rex, come on, get a grip, buddy. But when your team is winning, it just feeds that hype. And so I fell in love with Rex Hudler in 2014 and 2015. I hated him before that. But then I realized, like, for a good team, he's a lot of fun. And this year, I think he's going to be a lot of fun.
He probably is. I just sometimes he can get on my nerves. So most of the time I just tune him out. Sad but true. And then lastly, Royal Rupert said, "Fabulous game. I'm a little worried about my favorite pitcher, Alec Marsh." Rupert, don't be worried. Just follow Jeremy's lead. He'll take you to the Alec Marsh promised land. The marshland, if you will.
Not my idea of a promised land, but all right, let's go. I really do think he's going to improve as the year goes on. I'm a little concerned the Royals announcers were talking about, he's got 5 pitches. That's too many. But kind of his whole deal is like that he works on all these pitches and all this, like, that's kind of his thing. Yeah. And I don't think losing that benefits him, because I think the variety of pitches gives him more tools to work with, not worse tools to work with. I also think that sometimes, the idea is that 2 of those aren't going to work in a given night. So you hope the other 3 are there. And then maybe it's been 4 or 5 of them haven't been working the past couple starts. So I really do think he's going to turn into something beautiful by the end of the year, but certainly right now inconsistent, but I don't think in a way that we need to be concerned.
Okay. I certainly hope you are right, Jeremy, and we'll be. That's something that we got to watch closely as the year goes along, because we got guys like Jonathan Bolin, Daniel Lynch IV, who are doing work down in Omaha, and if Marsh starts to struggle at any point later on in the season, they might come calling for his job at some point.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. Hey, why don't we do some reviews and get on out of here, huh?
Sounds like a plan.
All right, Jeremy. I'll go and kick us off tonight with a short, simple one. If y'all aren't reading Royals Beat, the newsletter by Andy Rogers, you are doing yourself a disservice. You really are. I get it. Sometimes when you go to the Kansas City Royals website proper, it can feel a little overwhelming. You got video highlights, you got tickets, you got all this jazz, and no, I just want to see the written stuff by Andy Rogers. Well, this is the way to get the best of the written stuff from her.
Yep.
So all you got to do is go on MLB.com, sign up for the Beat newsletter. Her piece today was a very good one, I thought, talking about the revamped Kansas City research and development people and their personnel, just talking about a lot of folks that you might hear once or twice mentioned in a broadcast, but who are absolutely doing important work behind the scenes and making this team better. And the Royals invested a lot in getting new personnel, new positions, and filling them with experienced people as well. So reading this piece kind of got me a little excited about the future growth of the Royals, not just for 2024, but 2025 and on. Jeremy, what do you have for a review?
So what I'm going to review this week is God of War, the original game. I finally finished it last weekend, and then I played Chains of Olympus, the prequel game, Friday night. Played through the whole thing in one sitting. And y'all know I love the reboot, God of War, and then God of War Ragnarok. I love that series. And I like what it did with the character of Kratos. But going back and playing those two games, and I'm going to play the rest of the original series of God of War games as well. But going back and playing those two games has really just given me an even greater appreciation for the depth of Kratos's arc for all of the games he's been in. And the interesting thing to me about original God of War is I hated it the first time because it was very juvenile and very edgy. Like, there's a sex mini game at the very beginning of the first game, and there's all this other stuff that happens, and it's like no women are ever seen wearing shirts in God of War, because just like, we can do that now, so we're gonna. And it's just like, all right, sure, fine. So it thrives on being very like late 90s, early 2000s edgy, and that didn't suit me. But beneath the edginess, there's actually a depth of character who goes through an interesting arc and has an interesting relationship with Greek mythology, which I'm actually a huge fan of Greek mythology. So kind of getting this kind of more realistic perspective on what the relationships between the Greek gods and their people were has been really cool.
Okay, I like that, and I think they have them like remastered now.
Yes. So you can play the remasters of God of War 1 and God of War 2 and God of War 3 if you have PS Plus. And then if you want to play the two, I think they were PSP games, Chains of Olympus and Ghost of Sparta, you have to play it on the PS3.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, sounds fun to me. I haven't picked up those games in a long time. Oh, but I do like the reboots. I will say.
Yeah.
All right, Jeremy. Any closing thoughts before we get on out of here?
Nope. The Royals do play the White Sox tomorrow night, so tonight, as a lot of you are probably listening to this. Weird. It was Seth Lugo versus Eric Fetty. Now it's saying Nick Nastrini is going to be pitching for the White Sox.
Ooh, interesting.
So looks like. No, there he is. Okay. He has pitched in the big leagues before. No, he hasn't. Nick Nastrini will be making his big league debut tomorrow night.
Gosh.
So they destroyed the last guy they saw making a debut, and of course they had to cheat to do it, but they can cheat again. No problem with that. Yeah, so I looking forward to watching the Royals keep rolling.
Yep, hopefully so. And I'm really hoping that they see Brad Keller on Tuesday, who is a possibility to get the start.
Oh yeah, baby, let's do it.
That would be interesting. Seth Lugo taking the bump, undefeated, making his fourth start of the 2024 season. We'll see how it goes. But if you want the details and all the insight you need, go check out royalsreview.com, where we'll have the lineup, broadcast details. Like I said, everything you need is over there at royalsreview.com. Jeremy, thank you very much for joining me. As always, man, a good way to start off the week. I know I sound tired, but allergies are kicking my ass, man. I'm ready for this pollen to finally die down and just go away. But we'll see what happens. I can't even get through the outro, dude.
Wow,
this is so bad. Do you want to do it? You want to do the outro?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Until next time, go Royals.